thinking a lot, and then I created one pager. Normally I have covered all these topics briefly, but so we have to go, so you can print out this detail, and every time you have any challenges, just start reading and asking questions. What is this? How is this? How this is going to happen? So the very thought pattern will start changing. So once the thought pattern starts changing, the life will also change. So I was thinking, and I said within 10 minutes I wrote all these brief.
Yes, I got it.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, the entire journey, what we are talking is a change of perception towards life. There is nothing in that. I see you as an object of pleasure. That is one perception. It's a perception. It's a knowledge. I may have another perception at the mental level, not at the sensual level. Mental level perception is very popular notion. That you are a student, I am a teacher, you are a woman, I am a man, you are doing this and I am doing this. This is what the mental perception is. You are good, I am good, you are bad, I am good. Like this. This is what is all about. Mental perception. But what our great master says, question. Is sense perception is the only perception? With that sense perception, can you live in peace and happiness? If I see every object in the world for pleasure, will I be happy? The answer is no. I cannot be happy. I may get some pleasure. I have $1 million. What I am going to do in coronavirus? You see that? My mind is craving for sensual pleasure, either at the physical level with other people, or with the food, or with something, some object. What I'm going to do? So that knowledge of the sense at the sensorial level, at the level of the senses, is limited. And repeat use of these pleasures loses that pleasure. Wow! You eat potato, first day you like it, second day you like 90%, third day 80%, and after 10 days, no, I don't want to eat potato. It's enough is enough. So I should have a right perspective in my life. What the hell I'm doing? Why my mind and sense organs are running after the objects of the pleasure? Why should I think like this? Because I'm not getting a permanent peace and happiness, which I am seeking in my life. Not by controlling. The control is happening in the world and you see more problems. The more you control, more you suppress, and the more it blasts at a time. So our master says, understand. Get the right knowledge, the right perspective of life. So when you get the right perspective of the life, that knowledge becomes power. And that power, but how that knowledge is gained, can it be done in a day? No. I have been talking about the seed cannot become a tree overnight. So the first, you see I'm combining a lot of principles, but it is very simple. It becomes simple, it becomes easy when your mind is focused, clear, simple, and ready to listen. So that is our first perspective of life. So the more we have a perspective of life based on the sense organs, what is the goal? Goal is eat, drink, and be merry. Power, pleasure, possession. I have one house, so I buy a bigger house to get pleasure. I get a pleasure, no doubt. But after a few days, the pleasure is gone. I have one car, I buy the second. I have, no doubt, it gives me the pleasure. But after some time, the pleasure is gone. Same thing with the marriage, sexual, emotional. Whatever the senses perceive through the five sense organs with the different objects of the five sense organs. So I should start thinking about that. What exactly is my goal of life? If I don't think in that term, or will I continue to have the same stuff, same kind of thoughts pertaining to the noise coming from outside? Is this my life? Why don't this mind should hammer on the mind itself? What the hell you are talking about? Every day you are talking about, every moment you are talking about this noise. Stop this non-stop. So it will stop only when you hammer your mind, when you start thinking. When you don't think, the past thoughts will come. The past thoughts will take over you. So then we have a mental perception of the life. So that is also based on the sense organs, observed fact, but the mind refines a little bit. Mind refines. I have understood this is not the goal is not the pleasure through the sense organ, but it is satisfaction. But I get satisfaction when I devote my life to a particular pursuit. You devoted, you put your hard work in becoming an English teacher. So when you were making an effort, so that was focused approach. That is what the mental perception is. Now see the mental. So mental perception has a level of satisfaction and value happiness. What is value happiness? I will go to the church and offer prayer. I will help the poor. I will contribute to the society. I will join the army. I will devote myself into a particular research to find out the vaccine of coronavirus. All outside. Now, I will devote focused approach and make an effort to find who am I? What is my true nature? Is this my true nature? Every day I wake up in the morning and the noise coming from outside, the noise attracts, and I do go into anxiety and stress, and after some time I fall into sleep, little relaxation. The moment I wake up and again I go back to the same square one. Is this the life? Is this what I'm looking for in life? My mind should go back again and again to the noise and extract the past impression, reaction, and then so this is the mind repeats that perception. Our mind repeats this perception. That repetition is very important to the science, but not for my psychological survival. Are you getting it? 2 points. Same mental understanding of the concept and the application is very important to the science in the material world. But if that perception is repeated in the mind at the psychological level, it will make a person crazy the way you are making yourself crazy. See one example. You want to buy a BMW car, a particular model. And that model is available throughout the world in the same way, with the same configuration. You see the duplication, replication. That is very important in the material world. But that has nothing to do with my psychological survival. So sometime you are intelligent, I can understand. And that intellect is duplicating the incident and event of the noise. That is not required for psychological survival. Do you see how I understand your problem? It is required. Every day I go to the school, I have to teach the same stuff. That is required. That is the part of the material world. We need to repeat. We need to habituate. But my psychological survival does not depend on duplication. I have to question this. Physical level, I have to do certain set of physical exercises. Okay, fine. But at the psychological level, if you duplicate certain thoughts, that will cause problem. I love my dad, so we always repeat it. And after one day the dad says, you crazy girl, and that love gone. So at the psychological level, this mind must know a discipline. This mind must have the right knowledge. So we have 3 perceptions. The one is the sense perception. Second is the mental perception. And third is the perception our masters are talking about. You should have a right perception about who you are. What is this world outside? And what is the existence? What is my relationship to that existence? For wave, water is an existence. Without water, the wave do not exist. Do you understand that part? So when I say I exist because of that existence, but what is that existence? So my mind, my intellect must devote time, effort, energy to find out the existence on which I exist. Why? I know it clearly, so my problems are gone. When I know it clearly, when I experience that existence, because of that I exist, No problem. Go back to the same example. The wave knows I exist because of the water. Will that wave be ever scared and afraid of dying?
So I misheard what you said.
When the wave knows that I exist because of water, will the wave be ever scared of dying?
No.
No. That is the journey. When I know I exist because of that existence which is full of peace and happiness, love and wisdom, will I have any problem in the world? No. Do you understand that? So, the entire journey gives you a right perspective in life, a right perception of the world, of the existence, and who am I? Think of it. Again think. Oh, the wave will never be scared of dying. Will always enjoy taking a birth, will always enjoy immersing into the water. That is his death. So that right knowledge and the right perspective in our life gives a reason, a right reason to live, to think, to work. When you have a right knowledge and the right reason to live and work in the world, will you have any anxiety and a problem? The wave is, I gave you one example. So what is happening? We are a wave, the water is the existence, mind comes in between. Mind says, follow my perception. Sense organ comes in between. Sense organ says, this is only the right perception. So when these two perception and the perspective in life enters into the mind makes you crazy. The mind doesn't become crazy. Mind makes you crazy. Because you agree to their perception. And their perception is not right. How can any other person in the world be an object for my pleasure? This is totally craziness. But this is happening in the world. Most of the crime, the violence, reaction, the divorce are happening because of this. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? No, if my neighbor has a BMW, I should have a bigger car. So what happens to the mind? Envy, jealousy, reaction without any rhyme and reason. Because my perception of the life is limited, is attached, and is focused on the objects of the people outside. Whether it is object is a person or an article or object of the sense organ. So when my whole life is focused on the sense perception and the mental perception, I am bound to suffer. There is no way. It is like, let me prick my hand with a needle to see if I have a pain, and pain is there. You have already experienced that. No, let me prick it again. That is what you are doing. You have seen that mental perception. You have seen that sense perception. Now let me prick it again. What is that pricking in your case? You wake up in the morning. Aha, is there any noise? You are pricking. I must change my perception with the right knowledge about who am I, what is this world, what is this existence, so that I can live in peace and happiness, love and wisdom. You have to live with me. The moment you see me, you have a smile on your face. You see that? You see that? That is how the teacher impacts. But that impact is short-lived until if you don't think, if you don't follow the principles. Do you see that? Teacher is a pointer, is a catalyst. Catalyst is here and tomorrow not there. I have to follow this path. Understand this. This gives you a right perspective to live, the right knowledge to live in this world. Whether you are a teacher or you are a Bill Gates, what Eastern wisdom gives you a right perspective to live, to think, to act, to make a right effort. Every day, every moment, every second. And the life changes completely. So now what exactly is the right perspective? What exactly is the right perspective? That again we need to understand clearly. What is that right perspective? Right knowledge. So once we understand right perception about my life. So what is that right perspective about my life? So there is a world, there is I am, and then there is an existence. Then there is the world and the mental conditions. And then there is I am. So our mind must think and have a right perception about this world. What is this world at all? We all have, you also had your grandparents. Are your grandparents still alive?
No.
No. That is the nature of the world. So if my grandparents are not alive today, I will also not be alive tomorrow. Are you clear?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the operating principle of the world? It is constantly changing. Are you clear? Operating principle of the world is constantly changing. Are you clear? So, if it is constantly changing, nothing is steady, what I have to do with it? Accept the change. Accept the change and follow the wave of the change. What is required and what is not required. How simple is it? First operating principle. Now, before we go further, look at the mental world. Mental world is also subject to change. What you were at the 5 years old, you are not. Your mind is totally changed. Is it not a fact? The mind is also constantly changing. Are you clear? So when both are changing, then what it brings, word and the mind, what it brings on my table of life. Can you see that? Have a right perception. What it brings. It brings the duality. What is that duality? Likes and dislikes, pain and pleasure, profit and loss, victory and defeat. That is the very nature of the word with mind. Can you show me a person? Can you show me any person in the world who has never failed? It is a change. It is a change. Huh? Can you show me who has never failed? Who has never liked anything or disliked? Who has never become sick? If you say that you are psychologically sick, can I ask body not to be sick from today? Will it happen? No. Can you ask your mind from today, always enjoy the pleasure, no pain? Will it happen? It will not happen. Right? It will never happen. So what is the right perception? How to educate mind with the word to live in happiness without being influenced and dictated by both of them. Why? That is another question. Why? Why? Because I am different and separate from the world and the mind. And if that is clear, then the real journey starts. Who am I? I exist, so I exist as wave due to the existence like of a water. Are you getting it? I'm coming back to the same thing. So now when I understand, what did I understand? That the world and the mind are constantly changing. When they join together, they trap me in the delusion. What is that delusion? Likes and dislikes, profit and loss. Now I attended this session with this beer guy. That makes sense and it gives me peace, but after some time the peace is gone. You find a value. That is why you are with me. If you don't find a value, then who cares, this beer guy? There are millions. Doesn't care. So, when we understand this world and the mind are going to change constantly, alternate between profit and loss, likes and dislikes, pain and the pleasure, victory and the defeat. But I am different from both of them, the world and the mind, so let me put my thought, my energy, my effort in finding myself. Why? To have a right perception. Why to have a right perception? To go beyond the suffering. So the wrong perception creates a wrong identity with the world and the mind, and the thoughts and the feelings causes the suffering. So we started that we have three types of perception. The sensual perception makes you crazy. The society, if you go beyond the limit of the sensual perception, what is going beyond the sensual perception? Crime, cheating, defeating, stealing, rape. All these are going beyond. You are stretching the limit of the sense perception. Not only you suffer, but you make the society also suffer. No one is to blame for their crime. If they understand that this is not the end of life, they will change their perception. Isn't it? Isn't it? I have a craving for the pasta. How much pleasure I get? Even I don't get 1 unit of pleasure, because that pleasure remains for 5 to 10 minutes in the pasta. Same thing with the sexual pleasure. But I want to stretch the limit of the sense organ. The society does not condone you, so that you also suffer. Then comes the mental perception. The mental perception tries to force your mind to have a static situation and event in the life. Not possible. Because the mind is constantly changing. It has to alternate between the likes and dislikes, profit and the loss, success and the failure, victory and the defeat. So now we have understood that this crazy mind, until today, going into the world, either have a sense perception or have a mental perception. Clear? And this perception, this perspective of the life is causing the suffering. Some people are suffering from the noise, other people are suffering from their partner. Same thing. It's a mental perception. It's a mental perception, nothing more than that. For me, it's a play and fun. Play and fun in the sense that I help people to have the right perspective. Have the right perspective. Last year I had a couple and the husband was very arrogant. He's a millionaire, egoistic, and he was questioning everything. So I used to bring him to the right direction to have a right and good relationship. But after a year, because he contemplated and reflected, now in a group he is one of the best students. And I could see every time at the end of the session, before the session, his hands moves with the full of humility. I could feel in his hands, in his gesture, in his eyes. Why? He changed his perception. Nothing happened in his eyes, nothing happened in his mind. His perception changed towards the life. What is that perception? That I have to take care of myself. I have to see who am I. And this I am should not be dictated and influenced by the mind and the world, which is subject to change. So the problem is caused by the mind, with its preferences, with its prejudices, with its strong likes and dislikes. It is not the football field, it is not the noise coming from there. It is the mind, how it is perceiving that is the problem. Do you remember I told you that if that perspective of the mind does not change, you leave this house, go buy another house, go too far from the school, because that mind will remain with you. It will create another problem in a different situation. Condition may change outside. Maybe you buy a house, a new house, a neighbor is always interested in listening to rock music, and the rock music will create a problem for you. So problem is not the rock music, problem is not the noise coming from the football field. Problem is how this mind is perceiving the event in the world in relationship to the mind. Are you getting it? That should change. That perspective should change. So the entire journey, whether it is meditation or hundreds of practices, what you get? An IT professional from US went to my master. He had millions. He has a lot of stake in venture capital and starts up in US and California. He spent 20 years and earned millions. So he went to the master, was mesmerized by his presence, and he said, I want to know, master, what you get, what you received spending 30 years in the Himalayas. I earned millions. I have funded 5 startups through my venture capital. I have a big mansion that cost $3 million in California. I have 5 cars. Very good. So master looked at him and he smiled and told him, you see, your mind is always thought in terms of receiving something, gaining something, acquiring something. But I did not receive or gain anything. I lost everything. Do you want to know what I lost? So he nodded his head. My master said, I lost my anxiety, which I was thinking that it is me. I lost my stress. Previously I was thinking it is me. Now I know that stress can never touch me. I lost my sadness. I lost my tension. I lost everything. You always think in terms of receiving and gaining, but I lost everything. You did not gain anything? No. But you are so happy. Happiness is my nature. When it is my nature, what to gain? Only thing happened that now I know. Now I have a right perception that happiness, peace, love, and the wisdom are within me. They are me. So nothing to gain. What I was not aware of, now I am aware of. When you misplace the key of a car in your house, it does not mean when you find the key, it does not mean that you received something. It is me and mine. So those who always think in terms of gaining, they always lose. I could see the stress on your face. I could see the anxiety on your face. I did not go there to see your mention in the cars. You came to me, even having possessed those things in your life. You are not happy. You are not satisfied. Still, something is haunting in you. So if you have come to gain anything from me, forget about it. I will help you now lose everything, which is not yours. You tell me that you are into anxiety, but anxiety is not you, not yours. That is the only thing you should be knowing. The entire journey, thousands of practices, hundreds of principles are focused only on this topic. That can I have a right perception now? Sense perception is a limited perception. Mental perception causes likes, dislikes, profit, loss, victory, defeat. We always think in terms of receiving and gaining something. Where is the profit? Where is the result? There was a long conversation. That guy said, you are wasting your time sitting with eyes closed. You should be worthy to the society. That is why I am financing the 5 startup. So my master said, you always have a fear of losing those money in the startup. I have nothing to lose. You have come to me. I did not come to you. You see the perception, only the perception, only the knowledge, only the wisdom in you that awakens, oh my goodness, I'm in peace. What? You may have 5 BMWs, then what? Well, I will continue to make effort in my life without expecting a result, with a focus, without any ego, and if I have the resources, I will buy BMW. If not, I'm still happy. And I will buy BMW not because I will be more happy. Because of the happiness I will buy it. Not because of getting happiness. That is the way these masters live their life. It does not mean that they reject the world. No, they don't reject the world. Now they see that in a right perspective. And even while buying the BMW, they are fully aware it is the part of the world constantly changing. The next day the BMW meets with an accident, they will still remain happy. Their perspective is totally different. They are happy. I had a very humble house in India, in Delhi, a joint house owned by my dad and 3 brothers. I sold it, we sold it, and then I went to Jakarta as a diplomat in Indian Embassy. Oh, I had a royal house with a made house built in my own house. 2 maids was there at my disposal to serve me. A royal house with a maid, and everything was paid by the Indian embassy. After 4 years, I left it. I came back to India. I went to, where is that known? There is another country on the invitation under WHO program. So I was given again a royal treatment as if I was the biggest boss in the Ministry of Health to teach those doctors. Such a big suite I was offered. Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. Came back. I bought another house in 2000 in Delhi. We loved that house. First 6 months, my wife started decorating that house. So my recent visit to India, I sold that house. Think of these two scenarios. We all decorated that house. For 6 months. Then we sold it. Then I was thrown by destiny to be in US. We lived in a very humble house again. They have to change. Why to worry? That is the way the life is. Very small house. So after 4 years, I bought another house in New Jersey. That was again a big house. So in 2017, my son told me, "No, I built a house for you. You sell that house and come back." I did not think twice. Within 2 months, I sold that house. Why? Because I saw that I changed many houses. None of these houses chased me that I belong to you. Why should I be attached to anyone? If they say that I'm not attached to you, why should I be attached to them? Right perspective in life is required. And I'm happy to be homeless. Why? I'm a trustee of this house. I'm not the owner. So we live in the world as a trustee. Trustee does not mean that ownership. So if you have the ownership, then you are attached. Then you follow likes and dislikes. Then you get worried. Now I'm only a trustee. I take care of this house, maintain this house, but it is not me, I know it. And that was my goal. Another goal was that not to work under anyone. I worked for Ministry of Health in India for 26 years. I said, no, I'm not going to be employed. So I became jobless. So the freedom is there. So I have to work hard in order to maintain that status. What is the problem of working hard? Through one person to the second person, I'm getting 99% referral. One person becomes happy, he refers me to the other. No security at all. The mind always seeks security. But the mind is constantly changing. So I became jobless. During coronavirus, movement is restricted, so I gave lot of lessons on online, but not as many as I was giving before. Should I get stress? No. I started writing. I completed 3 books. 2 books are already published. I'm writing 5 more books simultaneously. Why? Adapt. You know how to adapt your mind to the changing situation in the world. I'm referring to the noise. In your case. So, did I write for the sake of others to sell that books? No. I wrote for my deeper understanding. I wrote to know whether I have really understood these concepts and principles. It will benefit others also. That is secondary. I wrote for my joy and happiness. That I understand the principles the way my master taught me. I wrote for my happiness. So what happens when you write for your joy and happiness? You are totally absorbed and focused naturally. Because you are deriving happiness. You don't have an anxiety and a reaction. Amazon publishes all those books without charging any money. When you order, they charge you minimum as an author. And then I can put any price, $10, $15. So if anyone wants to buy it. If they don't want to buy, don't buy. That is how I became jobless. No fear, no anxiety. I'm already jobless. Third part is very important. That always keeps you in the state of humility, compassion, love, and kindness. What is that? Knowledge less. You become knowledgeless totally. You have an anxiety? Tell the mind, I don't know. I know the Eastern wisdom, I say at the end of the day, I don't know. All are coming, all this knowledge is coming from thousands of masters. I'm simply expressing it. I'm a channel. So I'm a knowledgeless. You enjoy that freedom. You understand what happens. You understand that you are the existence. Once you experience you are the water, not the wave, what will happen? What will happen? Freedom from the fear and the death. Freedom from all the stress. I am the existence. So when you start a journey to find out who am I, ultimately what happens? You realize that you are the existence. And that noise is also a part. Noise exists because of you. Noise does not exist because of you. You don't separate anything from anyone. Two waves can separate from each other. But how the water can separate itself from the water? I am the existence. And what is that existence? Peace, happiness, love, wisdom. You may think that I am giving a lesson to you, but there is hardly any intent and desire and a feeling that I am giving lesson to you. I am expressing myself. We both are same, exactly the same. There is hardly any difference at the center, deeper inside. What is the difference? I know it, you don't know it. Only one difference. So that is where I started, right perception, right knowledge. Because you don't know, that's why this long talk. I don't see any difference between you and me. We both are essentially one existence. Only difference that you feel. I don't feel any difference. You feel that difference that he knows and I don't know. See that? That is the only difference. So what should you do? You know it. How do you know it? How do you know driving? You know the rules of the road. You have the skill set of driving. You drive. So know the rules. Know the principles. Follow it. Become the driver of your life. There is no difference at all between you and me. That is how I see people. You know, when you go to a counselor, they also get a big face because you are suffering from depression. You make a big face, so they also make a big face. That is their way of earning money. Why should I have a big face? If you have it, so keep it. Why not you take my peace and happiness and joy? Why should I take yours? We started our journey with the same one thing. What? Right knowledge, right perspective. So when I say that I really don't see any difference, outer difference is there. Gender, color, sex, age, height. But they are outer, they are constantly changing. What is at the center? I see the same spark in you. I don't see any difference. How the water can see any difference between the two waves? But you have to become water. You have to find out that you are the water. Then only you see you have a right perspective. Otherwise, so that's a journey. Again, I'm stressing, you see the difference because you don't know. I don't see the difference because I know. So, difference between knowing and not knowing. That is the only. So once you